What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fighterverse. If you thought the inclusion of Terry Bogard and Mai Shiranui in Street Fighter 6 was mind-blowing, buckle up, because we're diving into some wild speculation about who else could join the roster in future seasons. So go grab your controllers and let's geek out together. Before we do that, don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome theories and gaming content. Alright, let's get into it. Capcom is on fire with these surprise drops. First Akuma, then the epic return of M. Bison, and now SNK legends Terry and Mai. But what's next? Who are the dream fighters we might see throwing down in Street Fighter 6? Here's a rundown of some potential contenders that can make the future DLCs absolutely legendary. Remember how Akuma rocked Tekken 7? That crossover was a total game changer. So it's not too crazy to think Tekken might return the favor. Imagine Jin Kazama or Kazuya Mishima stepping into the Street Fighter ring. These characters have such a rich history and badass movesets that will blend perfectly with SF6's dynamic style. Plus, their rivalry with Street Fighter characters would add a whole new level of hype to the game. Jin Kazama brings a unique mix of martial arts and devilish power, while Kazuya Mishima's ruthless fighting style and devil form could provide a fascinating contrast to Street Fighter's more traditional martial artists. Their inclusion would not only be a nod to the history between the two franchises, but also a way to explore the darker, more intense rivalries within the fighting game community. Picture this: Ryu vs. Scorpion. Mind-blowing, right? Mortal Kombat characters have made their way into games like Injustice, so why not Street Fighter? Scorpion, Sub-Zero, or even Raiden could bring that intense, brutal flair that MK is known for, spicing things up in the SF6 universe. Plus, it'll be epic to see how Capcom incorporates these iconic fatalities. Well, maybe toned down a bit. Scorpion's fiery vengeance, Sub-Zero's icy precision, and Raiden's thunderous might would bring a completely new dynamic to Street Fighter. Their distinct styles and fatal moves could challenge the traditional Street Fighter gameplay, creating opportunities for unique combos and strategies. The crossover could also explore intriguing storylines, such as why these warriors from another realm are stepping into the world of Street Fighter, and what that means for both universes. Let's not forget the electrifying world of Guilty Gear. Soul Bad Guy and Kai Kisuke could bring their flashy, over-the-top moves to the Street Fighter arena. These characters are already beloved for their stylish content and unique abilities. Adding them to SF6 would be a dream come true for fans of both franchises. Plus, their complex lore and relationships could lead to some fascinating story arcs. Soul Bad Guy's rebellious nature and Kai Kisuke's knightly honor will provide a dynamic contrast to the existing Street Fighter roster. Their inclusion could also introduce new mechanics inspired by Guilty Gear's unique gameplay elements, such as Roman cancels and dust attacks. Imagine the hype as these iconic characters clash with the likes of Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li, blending the best of both worlds. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Capcom has a long-standing relationship with Marvel, thanks to the iconic Marvel vs. Capcom series. Imagine bringing some of those Marvel heavyweights into Street Fighter 6. Wolverine slashing his way through Ryu, Spider-Man swinging into a match against Chun-Li, or even the Hulk smashing his way through the competition. The crossover potential here is off the charts, and would definitely draw in a massive crowd of Marvel fans. Wolverine's ferocity, Spider-Man's agility, and Hulk's sheer power would be a perfect fit for the high-octane battles of Street Fighter. Their inclusion could also lead to some epic crossover storylines, exploring the dynamics between Marvel superheroes and Street Fighter's martial artists. Plus, the iconic moves and catchphrases of these characters would bring a new level of excitement and nostalgia to the game. And let's not forget about expanding Street Fighter's own universe. Characters from lesser-known Capcom fighting games like Rival Schools could make a comeback. How awesome would it be to see Batsu or Akira in the SF6 lineup? These characters have strong connections to the Street Fighter world and would bring fresh dynamics and fighting styles. Batsu's fiery spirit and Akira's cool, calculated approach would add new layers of depth to the Street Fighter roster. Their inclusion could also explore the rich lore of the Rival School series, bringing back fond memories for longtime fans and introducing new players to these beloved characters. Imagine the story arcs that could unfold, bridging the worlds of Street Fighter and Rival Schools in new and exciting ways. Now, this one might be a bit out there, but imagine if Capcom tapped into the world of anime and manga. Characters from series like Dragon Ball or One Piece could bring an insane level of hype. Goku versus Ryu, Luffy versus Chun-Li. The possibilities are endless and would definitely attract a huge crowd of anime fans. Goku's Super Saiyan transformations, Luffy's stretchy Gum Gum powers, and other iconic abilities from these series would create some of the most epic battles ever seen in a fighting game. The anime art style and over-the-top moves would mesh perfectly with Street Fighter's vibrant aesthetics, resulting in a visually stunning and exhilarating gameplay experience. Plus, the crossover potential will open up endless possibilities for fan theories and dream matchups. How about bringing in some characters from iconic action games? Dante from Devil May Cry would be a natural fit, with his stylish combat and devilish charm. Or maybe even someone from Resident Evil, like Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield, bringing a bit of survival horror flavor into the mix. Dante's flashy swordplay and gun fu, combined with his devil trigger transformations, would make for an electrifying addition to the Street Fighter roster. Leon Kennedy and Chris Redfield would bring their unique combat styles and survival instincts, adding a gritty, intense edge to the game. Imagine the crossovers and storylines, with these characters bringing their own brand of action and horror to the Street Fighter universe.
Even though Street Fighter is known to have many great characters in their roster since the beginning of its franchise, we need to recognize that there are a few that have not been that great. We would like to give Capcom a couple of ideas of who shouldn't come back. Let's start with the first in our list, Necalli. Capcom brought Necalli as one of the most sought-out villains in Street Fighter. Necalli seemed to be attracted to powerful fighters, and his primary objective was to devour their souls, either for sustenance or to appease his gods due to being their emissary. None of that happened, because while trying to have Ryu's soul, Ryu just dominated him with ease, leaving Necalli totally destroyed. We think there's little chance of Necalli returning, unless Capcom wants to give him some sort of redemption story in the future. Despite his popularity and success in the first couple years of Street Fighter V, nerfs and changes eventually pushed him into the sidelines, where he now sits as one of the least played characters in the game. Even pro players have used him and have had amazing wins with him. Even though Birdie is a legend, it's unlikely you'll find anyone who likes fighting against Birdie, despite his dominance throughout Street Fighter V's competitive history. In the current story, Birdie doesn't really contribute much either, largely serving as comic relief or someone who other characters can consistently poke fun of. Birdie is sitting on the 87th place in the Street Fighter popularity poll, which is kind of sad regarding how nice Birdie was in the Alpha series. A character that I would not like for them to bring back is from the Street Fighter 4 lineup of fighters. Even though for some people he might be a fun character, for us he just doesn't bring in anything to the storyline. The American kung fu fighter and self-professed rival to Ken Masters, Rufus. The American version of Dan doesn't really bring anything to the table. His style of fighting is only pure comical relief, and his story doesn't have anything tied to the normal story of Street Fighter. It is said that the final concept art of Rufus seemed to be inspired by Chris Farley's design in Beverly Hills Ninja and Bruce Lee's yellow jumpsuit from the Game of Death. Another character that is on our list comes from the Street Fighter Alpha series and is very dear to us because of his importance in the Street Fighter series. He is the guy that made Guile who he is, Charlie Nash. As Charlie Nash has died and resurrected in the Street Fighter's ongoing storyline, it seems that he's reached his end this time. His plot for revenge and his ultimate sacrifice to help put down Bison once and for all seems like it's the end of his story for now. We personally think that there's nothing more for him to do at this point. Charlie Nash will always be one hell of a character, but it's time to pay our respects and let him rest in peace. Most of us know by now that the new Street Fighter 6 game is going to be based in Metro City, home of great potential characters like Mike Hager or Cody. While yes, they may have a group of great characters that are amazing, they certainly have one that in our opinion lacks that wow factor for Street Fighter 6. He is big, tall, and drives a make-believe car, Abigail. I guess he did fairly well in his first Street Fighter appearance, but his body size would take all the screen in the new game. His moves are slow, and he throws tires around. We don't think he would look aesthetically pleasing for Street Fighter 6, and I know it might sound weird since the new trailer literally passes through Abigail's shop. Could this be a glimpse or maybe a small hint that Abigail's character could be added in future Street Fighter 6 DLC? Our last character from the Street Fighter universe that we would not like to see in the new Street Fighter 6 series would be El Fuerte. His character and gameplay might be good, but we think he has nothing to contribute to further the development of the series. If we were to choose between which is the best Mexican Street Fighter character, we would definitely pick T-Hawk. The new Mexican character in the Street Fighter 6 game looks like she has a background with T-Hawk or his tribe. A lot of people in the internet would like Dan to go, but for us, there is no way we would like him to go. We're all up for Dan in Street Fighter 6. This would be the characters that shouldn't be in the Street Fighter 6 game. Based on diverse reasons, we find that they wouldn't be necessary. We would like to share that we hate none of these characters. We just feel that we could have something better. I love for a fact that the Street Fighter 6 game is going to be based in Metro City. What better way to introduce some characters that are from the Metro City turf? Even though there hasn't been a final fight released in years, we can say that there have been characters like Cody and Poison that have made the move to the Street Fighter games. Yet we still haven't had the chance for a character like Mike Hager to make an appearance. And yes, you might say that he has had some appearances in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. He also made an appearance on a very great game, Saturday Night Slam Masters. Oddly enough, a character like Hager has never been in a legit Street Fighter title. I wonder if the statue of Hager in Metro City could be a small hint of what's to come. This character comes from the Street Fighter 3 generation of fighters, and it could be an awesome response to Ed's style of fighting for us. Since Street Fighter 6 looks very sophisticated, what better way to bring to the game a very sophisticated fighter like Dudley? The boxing prowess of this character is considered one of the best in the Street Fighter series. This form of fighting is an awesome way to have more characters that are not only defined by kicks and punches. It would be very interesting to see what a non-kicking character like Dudley could mix up in Street Fighter 6. Don't get us wrong, we would also love to see Balrog in Street Fighter 6, but if we had to choose which one should stay, we would gladly pick the Englishman. Another great character from the Street Fighter 3 generation of fighters that would be amazing for its presence in the Street Fighter 6 game would be Shan Matsuda. For us, this is more on how its story would unfold, rather than his style of fighting. I would love to see how he would interfere with Ken's new story in Street Fighter 6. As some of you might know, Ken in Street Fighter 6 is not having the best time of his life. He has lost his kids, got into a divorce, and just has been handed a rough card in this time. It would be cool to see if Sean could help Ken bounce back and find his way again, just like Ken did for Ryu. When Ryu was going through a rough time, Ken gave him his red bandana and cheered him up while he was at his lowest. Sean could be the next motivational soul that Ken Masters might need. The Street Fighter X series had awesome characters as well as other Street Fighter games, even though it wasn't as successful as the main games. One of the characters I love from this series is the infamous Garuda. Even though Garuda's personality is not well defined, he seems to be fairly bloodthirsty, seeking out opponents who utilize destructive forces such as Psycho Power and the Satsui no Hado. Garuda is said to be composed of negative emotions and dark energy, and holds a considerable amount of strength. It would be an interesting story to see this character match up against Takuma in a battle. Going back to Metro City, another interesting character from the Final Fight roster that we consider would be a good fit for the Street Fighter 6 game is Guy. It is said that Kimberly, one of the new characters from the leaked Street Fighter 6 roster, has a resemblance to Guy's style of fighting. She could be one of his pupils on the Bushin Ryu style of fighting. Also, I would love to see Guy go against Ryu in Street Fighter 6. It would be an interesting matchup in this title. There aren't many Street Fighter characters that use weapons in the franchise. One character that might seem to be forgotten could also be a good add-on to the Street Fighter 6 roster. He is one of the first two characters to have a weapon in the first Street Fighter, along with Eagle. Geki would be a great choice for the game if you think about it, going by the possibility that Geki was the one who trained, or at the very least inspired, Vega in the art of ninjutsu, and that Vega also wears the same type of claw weapon as Geki's. I think it's fair to say it would be a great homage to the first Street Fighter game. Additionally, Geki's concept and playstyle seems to have been passed down to Vega and Ibuki in separate ways, which is likely the reason he never became playable. Even though the Street Fighter V website implies that he has been killed during his activities in Asia, I think it's fair to say that Capcom should really give Geki the chance to shine in Street Fighter 6. Do a Bison revival of some sorts on this guy. One thing we don't see much in a legit Street Fighter title is the presence of guest characters in their roster. For us, characters from Tekken or the Dead or Alive series could be incorporated into the Street Fighter 6, since this title has very much or close similarity in graphics to both franchises. From Tekken, we find that either Heihachi Mishima, Kazuya Mishima could be ideal characters for this crossover. From Dead or Alive, we could have Jan Lee, since they eliminated the possibility of a Fei Long appearance in Street Fighter 6, and also Lei Fang could also be a good rival to Chun-Li.
Alright fighters, that's our take on who could be the next challengers in Street Fighter 6. Now, as we've mentioned, the possibilities are endless with Capcom's recent moves. It feels like no character is off the table, whether it's bringing in legendary rivals, embracing other fighting game icons, or even diving into new genres. The future of SF6 looks incredibly exciting. But enough from me. What do you think? Who are your dream characters for future SF6 DLCs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, this is your host CB. Welcome to the Fighterverse.